Have you ever had this feeling in IELTS speaking? You understand the question, your English is quite good, but as soon as the examiner asks you a part 3 question, your mind goes blank. A few seconds later, you start speaking, but you don't know what you're speaking about. Well, this happens to many Band 6 candidates, and in this video, I'll tell you why. In part 3 of the speaking test, you're often asked abstract questions. So what are abstract questions and why are they so difficult? Well, they're so difficult because they're not about you. They're not personal questions. For example, why do some people value success more than happiness? Another example, how has technology changed the way many people define success? So for these questions, there's no correct answer and there's no story to tell. Personal stories are not needed for this. And there's no memory to rely on. So let's compare how a Band 6 candidate and a Band 7 candidate approach such questions. So Band 6 candidates often wait for ideas to come to them. They hope that some idea will pop into their head and they'll be able to keep speaking about it. However, Band 7 candidates are not so passive. They create where they want to go with their answer. They create direction and then go ahead and keep speaking. Let's look at why Band 6 candidates' answers often fall apart. Okay, so they often start with phrases like, well, it depends on, and they're waiting for ideas to come into their head. And then they start to list ideas. They list a lot of ideas. After that, they try to quickly in their head connect the ideas together so that it makes sense. But there's no clear direction because you're basically making it up as you go along. You're making it up as you speak. From an examiner's point of view, listening to such answers, they're thinking about the candidate and they can see that the candidate is making it up as they speak. And they think, well, the candidate cannot really handle or control these abstract ideas while under pressure because they're speaking and trying to think at the same time, and it's causing a problem. So this is what's going on in their head, and this is a thinking issue. This is a problem to do with thinking. So let's look at how Band 7 candidates might think differently when answering an abstract question in part 3. First of all, would they list lots of ideas as they pop into their head? No. What they would do is they would choose one angle to answer the question with and then expand upon it. They choose their angle and then they simplify the idea to make it clear and they reduce it to cause and effect. Then they try to make it real. They choose a group of people or a situation or a consequence as an example. You could say they state something, they explain it to make it clearer, and then they try to make it real with an example. The typical Band 7 answers are calm, they're controlled, and they're easy to follow, clear. Don't try to be impressive, just think reliable and clear. Let's compare a Band 6 answer and a Band 7 answer to the following question. Why do some people prioritize career success over personal happiness? A Band 6 would most likely begin with a phrase such as this. There are many reasons, and then they would go on to list the reasons that are popping into their heads. However, a Band 7 candidate would most likely begin like this, with one main reason. They choose one direction and they go in it. So one main reason is social pressure. Then they go on to explain what that pressure is. Then they show the effect, perhaps making it real, and then they stop. Before you go, why not check out the description below, where I've added a link to a free IELTS vocabulary book for writing and speaking. So it's written from an examiner's perspective, not just lists of advanced vocabulary, but high-scoring words and how to use them in the IELTS speaking and the writing. On the same page as that link, you will find links to my IELTS courses, which cover everything from essential grammar and vocabulary to step 2, writing at band 7 in the IELTS examination. Everything is explained clearly on that page, so when you have the time, please take a look. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you next time.